Hello, everyone. Thank you for taking a little time out of your afternoon to join us today. My name is Sean Valencia. I'm APAC Marketing Manager at Treasure Data, and welcome to our webinar today on Connected Customer Experiences, Tactics and Insights with CDP. This webinar today was produced in collaboration with Treasure Data ADA, as well as SoftBank. And, the three of us are very close partners, and, we're very dedicated to working with brands to really, reinvent their data foundation to utilize a variety of different kinds of data to drive incredible new customer experiences. Today, we're going to be diving into a little bit about, okay, what exactly is a connected customer experience? Then get into a little bit about what is a CDP, how does it fit into the picture, and really the core of today's discussion is going to be on many different strategies and use cases different kinds of industries are taking to really take data and drive great customer experiences, but also real business value. First, a few housekeeping items. We are coming at you live today, and we would be very happy to have you as part of the discussion. If you look, in this webinar at the bottom of the screen, there is a Q&A function. It would be great if you have any questions about any of the topics, anything you want to dive into deeper. Please feel free to drop in some questions in there. We're going to leave some time at the end of the discussion today to pick up any questions, and we can answer anything that you'd like live today. First, to start off the discussion, a little bit about about us. As I mentioned, this webinar is being brought to you by ADA, Treasure Data, as well as SoftBank. If you aren't familiar with us, I'm from Treasure Data, but we're working very closely right now with ADA. ADA is an integrated growth partner with presence all across Asia. A huge, very knowledgeable team of solving challenges with data, digital, and marketing. To really help drive these connected experiences and innovation, all across the region. Us, Treasure Data, we're coming from more the technology side. We're providing a technology platform called CDP, and we're working with ADA as well as SoftBank to bring this technology and solve challenges, in many different for many different brands across the region. Us, Treasure Data, a little bit about Treasure Data. We provide a technology called CDP, Customer Data Platform. Customer Data Platform, it's a technology that's kind of similar to a data lake or a data warehouse, but it's very focused on having all these features and functions out of the box to quickly integrate, bring data together, empower multiple business units within the organization, not just the marketers, to be able to utilize that data to drive great customer experiences. For us, we were originally founded in Silicon Valley, but now we have offices all around the globe and are currently serving customers in over 450 in many different industry segments to help them solve their data challenges. And we've also gotten a lot of awards and recognitions, including being named a leader in IDC's MarketScape, multiple Best CDP awards, and more. And so for us, we're a technology provider, and then working very closely with ADA and SoftBank, in their expertise in driving data strategy, looking to help solve these challenges regarding data. But enough about us. Let's start diving into some of the topics of discussion today. Connected customer experiences. Why is that? Why is that essential? And really, what we're starting to see in the trends is there's been a huge, acceleration with the expectations of the customer. And the question is, are we going to be able to keep up? I like this quote that came from an SVP of IBM that the last best experience your customer has anywhere then in turn becomes the minimum expectation for everywhere. And what that means is that, as we're starting to come into these new digital experiences, sometimes it might be from a platform we think is not necessarily competing directly with us. It could be innovation happening via Netflix, all kinds of new mobile apps, it could be grocery delivery apps, all these different new digital services. But these great digital experiences are affecting what customers are expecting across all brands. So even if we may not directly be competing with the likes of someone like Netflix, that experience is affecting the expectation that they're going to have with our business. And also, as this digital changes are happening, really customers are more and more seeing the experiences that they have with a brand as one experience. In the past, there might have been different experiences. Maybe there was the call center experience or the in-store experience, the social media experience. We have all these business units in our organizations that are interacting with customers differently. But more and more, especially with the rise of these new digital services, it is one holistic brand experience that the customer sees and they expect. And they don't want to have fractures or these different experiences. Just one, but this could be quite difficult to achieve sometimes because of course, in many organizations, all of these different departments have been functioning independently. They have their own set of tools, their own set of data, their own way of communicating. And the question is, okay, the topic of today is connected customer experience. How do we really bridge that and start, delivering this one voice as well as, value that's going to carry along no matter what the touch point is? And, those companies and brands that are, investing in this are seeing, great wins and success. This is there was a survey of CMOs done by Gartner last year, and they were discussing, okay, how really how is your investments in customer experience and data affecting your business? And they found that on average, those that were placing a focus on, okay, how can we utilize more data to deliver these great customer experiences, we're seeing revenue growth of 160%. So, it really does pay to, to improve that experience. But, of course, it's a much more bigger challenge than it sounds, right? And still a lot of marketers are on that journey. And, with a similar report, they found that 91% of CMOs know that customer data, utilizing customer data is very critical, but only 9% of marketers actually have that easy access, being able to actually get the insights that they need and utilize it. And there's a lot of in the realm of data utilization right now. One, we have there's the structure of our organizations. Many times there could be many brands operating independently, different business units, and all of these are creating these multiple silos. Also new challenges with expectations of privacy and regulation. And more. And so as we speak to various brands, it's this is something that needs to be addressed, and it is costly to not be utilizing data, but there's many challenges to overcome with this. And so there's many organizational goals that are emerging. Okay, can we start overcoming this data disconnect? How can we start getting the right operational, insights, knowing our customers better, being able to translate this into higher lifetime value, driving that business value, and then in turn creating that great customer experience. And with regards to solving all these challenges that we see here, really data is going to be at the core. How do we bring together data from across the organization, line it up all neatly and manageable, put the right safeguards in place to manage it responsibly, and then also provide accessibility and make sure that the right stakeholders within the organization get the insights that they need and can take action on it. And and also this is a bigger task, because when we talk about customer experience and the connected customer experience, it's actually quite large. Sometimes we may think like, okay, it's mainly, it's just the marketer's job to think of the customer experience. But there's a lot of other business units that are very important in the customer experience as well, such as sales and service. And if we're looking at a way to deliver that one brand voice, it really has to involve all the customer touch points, not just one. And so, what we've been starting to see is that the data is at the heart of all of this, but there became a need to, okay, how do we round up all of the data from all of these organizations, brands, or different business units into one central foundation. And so in turn, that also started giving rise to the CDP, which is now becoming a very rapidly growing product category. There's dozens and dozens of different providers. A lot of the big marketing brands are launching CDP as well. And really it was because there's this greater need to bring all the data together and utilize it. Not all CDPs, are alike. When considering something like a CDP, I think it's very important to really have it as a goal to establish this truly connected customer experience that's going to bring together all the the data points from across these different business units, including the marketing, sales. It could be contact center. Now it's starting to see a lot of use case on the operations side. Trust, having the right features for that compliance, and then being able to really execute on that data through whether it be personalization, growing loyalty, being able to innovate quickly, empower the right individuals, and more. So first I'll explain a little bit very briefly about what a CDP is, and then we're going to get into the tactics and the use cases of how different industries are using data and strategies around that. So essentially, just a very brief explanation. So a CDP, as I mentioned at the top, it's kind of similar to a data warehouse or data lake, but it's kind of a packaged data warehouse product. And the best CDPs come with a very large suite of integrations that are out of the box. They might have all these pre-built APIs that connect into many different systems, whether they be marketing tools or social media, advertising platforms. They can also analyze web behavioral data of different interactions that customers are taking on the web and mobile app. And what they're trying to do is build this golden customer record that's going to have all the data from these various business units lined up. Then with that can be the the foundation to one, your privacy and compliance, being able to manage it responsibly. But then also CDPs are designed to also have a friendly interface that other non-technical teams can operate. So this could also be where the marketing team, the sales team, the customer service team, being able to utilize insights and then, take action on it. One question that, sometimes we get is like, okay, should we, we're considering internally, maybe should we build the CDP ourselves, or, should we look at buying one? And I think there's a couple key considerations with this. One, the time to market. What is the project implementation timeline? The total cost of ownership. What is the cost of purchasing versus the resources internally that it might cost to build, build something yourself? Also, number three, the availability of those technical resources if you were to, build something internally, or what's it going to take to maintain it over the long term? And five, what are the, security and privacy capabilities, like both building it internally, but of the, if you're evaluating different kinds of CDPs, are they also making the right investments on these areas as well? And, what we see is that, a lot of times why CDP came about was that the need to, realize a fast time to value. And, these data lake or data warehouse projects of the past, they would take a lot of time, require a lot of resources, investment, and those technical resources are very valuable, right? One, there's, it's tough to get and retain talent. Also, some of, the talent that is internal may be busy with other kinds of projects. So, CDP came about as a way to, really make that implementation quicker. Technically, there's a chance that, the cost could be lower too, because, the cost of engineering, both in the, the time and the resources to build something internally, could be more. And so essentially, either direction, building it or the buy direction, there is a lot of brands that we're seeing considering both, because, this need of, okay, how do we really bring the data from across the organization together into one foundation with some kind of system that's going to allow us to take action on it. For the next portion of today, we're going to get, really deep into different strategies that we're seeing from different brands and companies to maximize their ROI and customer lifetime value, with connected customer data driving connected customer experiences. And to start, I think, from what we see is there's really 5 essential capabilities with regards to transforming data to business value that makes it successful. So first, it starts with that unification. So that is the first step in the journey. Can we get the capability to break down some of these data silos and bring in data from these many different sources and line it up all neatly so we can gain that full understanding of the customer? And that's leading into step 2, deepening the customer understanding. So with this, sometimes, we call this the customer 360-degree view, which is really going to give full insights that we have on a customer, whether that be from the interactions they're taking on the website or the mobile app, past purchases, customer service history, different keywords of what they might be interested in, or both the brands or products that they prefer, so that we can then take these learnings and drive a better customer experience. And then 3, both protect the customers and the brand across regions. And this is the capability to manage the data responsibly. It's going to be kept secure. We're going to track permissions for various brands or products. And, also making sure the right individuals have access to the right data, and that, our IT managers, data security teams have all the functions that they need to, protect the customer, which then in turn protects the brand. And so, that's kind of the core, first couple steps to setting the foundation. But then once that's in place, then how do we empower the teams to take action? So, this could be the marketing, the sales team, the customer service team, and more. How do we get them the right insights and then the right tools to, take those insights and take action on that? And, it is going to be a bit of a journey, but, by tactically implementing different use cases, it's going to be building towards, this one team, one experience, the truly connected customer experience that the customers in turn going to be having. And now, it is going to be, a journey. It usually starts with one or a few use cases that are just going to, in turn expand on there. And, one question that we commonly get is, okay, what's the best use case to start? And it's a challenging question, because really there's a lot of different opportunities to pursue. And we're going to get into some of those, examples, from real examples of what we've seen now. And when considering your first use case with data, I think, it's very important to take a step back and think, okay, what are some of the key challenges internally that we need to solve at this time? Quite commonly, these three categories here are some of the really, key drivers of what we're seeing brands looking to accomplish, whether it be, okay, how do we increase customer acquisition? How do we expand lifetime value and gain more value from our best customers? Or maybe a focus on retention. How do we keep our best customers? And of course, in between in these categories, there's a lot of other key KPIs that make them up. So, I would consider, okay, what are some of the key aspects that, we're looking to improve internally? And then, start imagining different use cases that are going to be able to accomplish this, whether it be, okay, we need to increase the lead volume, or we need to decrease costs. We're spending too much cost to acquire customers. Or, maybe how do we utilize machine learning to, say, retain customers that are at risk for churn? And then, we can pick a couple of these key KPIs, maybe one or two to start, and then start examining, okay, what are the opportunities that are going to be to improve these with data? And there's many times there's going to be lots of different touch points across the full customer journey that are going to be able to contribute to this. So if it's, if we want to focus on that new acquisition, that's going to be probably higher up in the funnel. But if it's going to be more on the retention side, high LTV side, maybe that's more closer to the right side. Maybe are there going to be some improvements that we can do with the loyalty program, things that can help us with cross-sell utilizing data, trying to increase, better seamless customer experiences that is going to, in turn drive better engagement, raising ROI in the long term. There's going to be many different kinds of touch points that are available across this. But, what those touch points are and what those potential use cases are also going to, differ depending on industry or type of company and more. And, to give a couple examples, say if you're a CPG brand, CPG company might be operating many different brands. Here are an example of some use cases that we might want to dive into. There's a lot. We have 22 here, but each of these individual boxes here is a different kind of tactic or a campaign that's going to be utilizing connected data from previously residing in many different business units to drive some kind of better experience, or better value. Depending on industry, there's some things that carry across, really that connecting data and establishing that single source of truth, that number one there, that's going to be one that's going to be relevant, regardless of industry. But some trends that we see on the CPG side, could be one trying to focus more on the higher in the funnel, the brand recognition, trying to do better campaign optimization. Maybe there's could be, depending on if there's an e-commerce platform or if it's more B2B focused, is there a way that we can reach more B2B retailers or utilize our own, D2C channels better? If we pick a couple of these that are unique to retailers and take a look at them individually, we can get some examples of what different kinds of brands, are doing. Of those boxes, I picked out 3 that, we can really kind of dive into and look at deeply. 3 examples from 3 different brands on, how they're utilizing data in some way. First example, we have a global confectionery brand. And, one challenge that they were looking to do was, they found that, they had a very high acquisition cost on their marketing. Previously in the past, they were, creating these marketing messages and just, more sending them out. And then they wanted to see, can we bring in a variety of data, start utilizing some machine learning tools. More and more commonly in CDP, you're starting to see machine learning functions and utilize machine learning to drive higher efficiency. So they were focusing on a kind of machine learning function called RFM, which RFM stands for recency, frequency, and monetary. And how it works is it tends to look at those great customers who've converted, and it's trying to predict who's likely to have high frequency, high recency. Recency is in purchase often, and also for monetary spend a lot with the brand. And to utilize machine learning, it does require a variety of data. So they're connecting these data that was previously residing in different silos and functions and business units, layering machine learning, and then trying to predict, who has a high RFM score, a medium, and a low score. And then based on that, we're going to modify our communication strategies accordingly. For those with the high RFM scores, we're really going to target them more aggressively. For the medium scores, depending on this, it may be not as quite high as the ad spend cost for them, but perhaps we can devise some unique coupons and promotions for that segment. And for below RFM, within that, can we identify those who may be previously great customers but now have churned? And perhaps there could be like a discount or welcome back campaign. And then they tried to focus their marketing investments differently on those 3 segments, and they saw their email acquisition costs drop from $12 to $1.40. Taking a look at another case, we have something a little bit more on the B2B side. And they were looking to increase their communications that they had with retailers. And, what they found was that, their, email open rates to the marketing that were doing was not quite as high as they'd hoped. They also wanted to start utilizing data, algorithms and predictions to predict, okay, what is the best time to reach different retailers with the best kind of message. And, of course, that was also going to require knowing their customer base better with a variety of data, and then trying to, execute upon that. And they found that they were able to lift their open rates by 19%. A third case that we can see on the right, AB InBev is the world's largest brewing company, also a CDP user. They, one challenge that they found was that there was a lot of spending for their CPG products going into different advertising platforms, which were kind of a bit of a walled garden. There was some things that you can slice and dice for targeting. But there's really a limit on how personalized and the one-to-one communication that you can do through those channels, and they were seeing a lot, really, really high costs with that. And so what in turn that they decided to do was, okay, we need to really focus more on our internal first-party data, acquire more data, a variety of data, and then in turn, based on that, launch a loyalty program and find more ways to directly communicate through our loyalty program members, using different kinds of data that they had. And, they found that to be quite successful. And then, to kind of expand on that case, what we just walked through were 3 individual tactics, but usually it starts with, 1 or 2 and then continues to expand on there. And so, actually that was one of, multiple use cases that this brand is using from that larger chart that we were looking at, before. Some of the other use cases that we can see are on the top right there, also engaging in lookalike targeting, also trying to provide better data privacy and security, especially for a large company, over 40 different countries, over 500 different brands, needed a strong foundation. And, with it, they've been able to really unify their data across brands, and then, execute on a number of different use cases to drive great customer, experiences. Can quickly go through one more CPG case. This is actually, this is a new case that just was recently published on Amazon. You can AWS, you can find it there. But Dan in Indonesia is also a CDP user, and really they were collecting data for their specialized nutrition division through a variety of sources, including in-store interactions, their websites, social media, WhatsApp, and more. But historically, a lot of this data was siloed or being tracked manually using Excel, and really that kind of fragmented nature of the data made it very difficult to really truly understand the customer and drive business value. And so they were looking for, a solution, and they, decided to engage on a journey with CDP, and they connected their customer experience using CDP and began analyzing customer behavior in near real time so that they can engage in better segmentation, automated some of their CRM processes and more. And they found that, by having better engagement with the customers, they also integrated their customer service call centers to better be able to, communicate with customers as they called in, based on insights from, past interactions, including digital interactions. This was driving a lower overall cost per lead. So, these are a few examples from the CPG sector, but, of course, let's dive into some others. If we look at retail, here's, another map of potential things that we may want to, dive into if we're a retailer. There's some, things that are similar to the CPG side. Again, getting the insights, it's going to start with that step. But, there's other things that might be more unique on the retail side. Maybe there's going to be these new physical and digital ways that we want to interact with customers who visit our physical stores but are utilizing a smartphone. Maybe we need to, enhance our logistics to provide a better customer experience. We need to have the right product sets in the store and make sure they're in stock when a customer visits us. So, there's still a lot of other unique opportunities to explore in retail as well. For some other use cases that are unique to retail of using connected customer data. For one, on the left, we have an example from Stripe, hyper localizing inventory. So this is a retailer in Japan that was managing a lot of different lifestyle brands, and they found that there was a lot of inefficient inventory management that was driving costs up. One that's very costly to the company, but also from the customer experience side, it's not as smooth as well, because we might physically go to the store, but if it's not having what we're looking for in stock, then we might have to go somewhere else. It's time consuming. How do we have the right amount of products, the right product mix for the local community for these individual physical retail stores? And so, they took a variety of data, including sales, marketing data, weather data, how that's affecting trends, and predicting the right inventory mix for these locations. And they were able to achieve a cost savings of $220,000, but in turn, also their customers were able to better find what they were looking for in store. So that's one interesting example, because when we talk about customer experiences, it's not always just a marketing challenge. There's a lot of other efficiencies that could be driven in logistics or more with when it comes to both helping out the customer but also providing business value. Next, there's another example that we have in this in the center here of trying to drive better efficiency, both from sales and a call center and customer service. I think that we all may have had various experiences with regards to customer service. Sometimes we call into customer service, and we might speak to many different people, get passed around, and each time we might have to introduce us, give all our information, and it's starting from square one many different times. It might take a lot of time. It might be not always the most pleasant experience, but more and more we're also seeing cases like with this retailer that's trying to really bring a lot of those insights from either previous sales or digital interactions and more to give those insights to maybe a call center team so that they're really ready to serve the customer quickly, efficiently, drive the conversation that they're looking for right when they call in. That in turn is going to help improve the customer experience, drive better loyalty, because the customer calls in and they are having that one-to-one very personal interaction, that the brand has a relationship with them, that they know them, but that poor customer service experience is one of the big risks to driving someone away from a brand. On the right, we have an example of a use case with the physical and digital combined. Carco is a department store. And really they were looking to, okay, how do we reinvent our department store, experience? And so they launched this mobile app that was designed to be used actually in store. There's a lot of different features. It kind of gamifies the experience. You can do scavenger hunts and walk around and earn these coins. But also they were looking at, okay, how do we really customize our location-based offers? And as people were exploring different kinds of stores in different locations, they are also integrating data on the weather. Based on individual locations that they may be experiencing rain, as someone enters the store, maybe they can get a push notification to the app like, hey, there's a rainy day special today. Thanks for visiting us. Even though the weather's not great, here's a coupon and a special promotion for you. And that was involving data from their mobile app, their in-store weather data, or more. But they found that they were able to increase the purchase rate by 25% of users of this feature. Once that they implemented it. So these are just 3 examples of individual things to focus on retail. Of course, there's many more, but it starts with choosing 1 or 2 of these to tackle, and then continue to expand. And with with each piece added to the puzzle, the customer experience gets better. One other example of a customer that's implementing multiple of these use cases is Asian Paints. Asian Paints is the 3rd largest paint company in Asia. They were first very focused on paint products, but they were looking to expand their business and their services. And so they expanded into the home decor market. And now they're launching these home consulting services where somebody can call in and speak to a consultant who's going to help them to, really design their home, get the right room and feel that they're looking for. But with expanding the business offerings, they found that, it was, this in turn was, creating various silos, and those silos can fracture the customer experience. So how can they really create this connected customer omni-channel experience across marketing, sales? Somebody's calling into their consulting services call center. If someone is doing business with them, a returning visitor who might have been a long time loyal customer of their retail store and using their customer service consulting service for the first time, we don't want them to start at square one and have to treat them like a brand new customer, right? So they joined their retail data with their new consulting data to help bridge that experience so that they can have a smooth transition if they're trying the new products and services for the first time. In addition to, driving those campaign executions, like, okay, how do we use machine learning to predict the next best kind of communications that we have, the next best products to cross-sell? If someone has engaged and frequents this kind of product, is there something else that we can recommend to them to drive, drive engagement with them over the long term? And so they began, piecing together, more and more use cases from the use case map. So, it starts with picking one, but then, expanding like some of those top use cases that we can see on the top right. And, moving along to one more industry that we'll move through quite quickly, automotive too. We can do the same exercise, many different use cases possible. There's going to be some that are unique to this, especially when it comes to dealerships and service on the top right. Some different ways that we can, engage on this front, in some examples with regards to media suppression. We have an example on the left from, Maruti Suzuki India, looking to, analyze data and try and really identify those that are most likely going to, be a real customer to purchase. They found that a lot of, working with, media spend, paid media spend in the past, a lot of that paid media spend was going to actual customers. but, is there a way that we can identify, who hasn't converted yet, so that, our investment is going directly to those that, could become potential new customers. In the center, we have an example with Subaru Japan, and they had a focus on machine learning to predict who's likely to purchase a vehicle. So they had data from multiple different sources, whether it be the dealership CRM, but also web, mobile interactions, social media spend, etc., trying to find trends in who's likely to purchase a vehicle. Are these some insights that we can deliver directly to the sales team? And they saw their purchase rate increase by 72%. But also there's a lot that can be done on the service sector, right? And also we have an example on the right of using, is it possible to use data to predict the right timeframes for service, the right kinds of service that that our customers are going to need to keep them engaged. Because one thing that they found was that, after a long period of time, maybe they're using the brand's, dealership services to service their vehicles in the short term, but at the longer term, maybe they want to start using other third-party services, but they, began placing investments on, okay, can we, keep these customers, engaged by predicting the right service, personalized coupons and opportunities, and they found that they were able to increase that rate. And again, one larger example is Subaru. We can see some of the items from the map that they're utilizing on the right, but predicting who's likely to purchase a vehicle was very key in driving up those sales. But they're also engaging in a number of other initiatives to know their customers better, deliver more relevant messaging. And this happened because one challenge that we do see especially in a lot of automotive companies, is that the customer experience has changed dramatically. In the past, it was very, very heavily focused on that physical experience, but now there's more digital steps that customers are taking, doing more research online, comparing vehicles on the website. Those can all be steps to gain better understanding of the customers. And so, Subaru is looking to, one, gain that better understanding, get more relevant messaging, and they really joined the full customer experience, both online and offline, to drive a lot of these use cases. So, that was, quite a bit, as you can see, there's a lot to unpack and explore with regards to the use cases. It's going to depend on, the situation of your brand, the industry that you're in, the business challenges. And it really is a journey. So, with regards to really unlocking full business value of the connected customer experience, it starts with first, identifying those, one or two use cases that are going to improve those key KPIs for you. Many times there might be some quick wins, maybe implement some personalization here that's going to drive some value or higher conversion up. Then we want to expand to some of the more advanced use cases. Maybe it involves going into utilizing machine learning more. And then possibly going out to other business units like service and sales. And then maybe a even more advanced step is starting to look at the operations, like the retail case of the predicting procurement with machine learning. And then expand globally across multiple brands, and more, to really unlock the most potential of the business value with customer data. So, we're almost at the end of today's presentation. We're almost about to dive into some of the Q&A. So again, if anyone has any questions about, anything that we covered, I know we covered a lot very quickly today. Please feel free to drop some questions in the Q&A or the chat. But, also wanted, to take some time today to provide some, updates on, new features and what we've been working on at Treasure Data for our CDP. So, a couple of the new things that we've recently launched that are new to us is one, we recently launched a customer journey orchestration feature. And so what this is it's kind of a drag and drop interface to organize customer journeys, omni-channel customer journeys across various different touch points. We can see an example here. Across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, maybe these are individual activations. We can recommend the journeys, but then also they can be organized, in this interface here. And then talking about the connected customer experience, going beyond just marketing too, this can also go across business functions online and offline. So with organizing the activations and the journeys, within our CDP, we also offer, being able to integrate some of those offline interactions as well. So, we see an example, of a digital journey at the top, but maybe say one customer, Dan, we have here on the bottom, he is moving on, he decides to deviate from that journey and he starts engaging, with an offline experience, whether it be, a local dealership, et cetera, or, a physical sales representative in the store. And then that can switch to, a different kind of experience depending on, if he's physical, digital, or what business unit he's interacting with. All this is continuing to build towards that, connected customer experience. One other, new feature that we launched at Treasure Data is what we call Trust for CDP. And this is even more revamped and enhanced features for security, managing the data responsibly, and the features that your admin teams need, for compliance. And we look at the situation right now. There's a lot of different disruptions, especially with regards to privacy and experience that we're experiencing right now. For one, on the privacy side, more regulation is coming all across the globe, especially in the last few years across Asia. Also, changes with things like, of course, cookie lists, et cetera, are involving the, customer experiences. And, what we've been, hearing from brands is that, this is really making the situation regarding customer data very complex. Both because of these different privacy needs for these local regions, but also, the need to provide the right tools, functions, and protection of PII across different teams, regions, agencies, and having the right security, in place. And, actually for some of these reasons, this is why more and more brands are starting to consider CDP. This is a survey from Advertiser Perceptions about, what, different marketing leaders are considering to be the top value propositions of CDP. And actually, we can see here that, though we talk a lot about personalization and, efficiency, better customer experience, actually, for this, the privacy, security, and compliance factor ranked number one as the top benefits of choosing a CDP among these decision makers. So, how you can utilize CDP, to better, tackle these challenges from the privacy side. It would be regarding, one, we're going to own data, but we need to be able to track the consent, make sure that whether that be across different teams, different brands, products, or channels, making sure that every piece of that customer data is going to be secure, making sure that the IT teams have access to the tools that they need. They can identify those warning signs quickly, early. They can set up the right safeguards, making sure the right teams have access to the right data that they need, and also taking care to, organize access and across various geos or brands, third-party collaborators, and more. And so, that's why for us, for a long time, we've always been investing on this, trust aspect of it. But, our new Trust for CDP is the newest version of our functions within our CDP, very focused on the managing of the data responsibly, protecting data in PII, giving the IT team the tools that they need to really, really take on these challenges. So we're at the, almost at the top of the hour, but, have some time still for some questions. Also we can, hang on a little bit longer, if needed, if anybody wants to stick around to discuss more. But first, I'd like to thank everyone for taking some time after your out of your afternoon today to join us. I hope you were able to gain some ideas of different use cases and strategies to driving different business value, utilizing customer data. If anyone is interested in learning more, again, this webinar today is brought to you, in partnership with Treasure Data, ADA, and SoftBank together. Together we are very, all three of us are very dedicated to working with you and identifying, your needs and challenges and discovering, okay, how can we bring your data together to realize some value, increase your revenue while providing, better customer experiences. So, I do invite everyone to, please feel free to reach out to any of us, ADA, Treasure Data. I think there will also be a survey to connect with us going out, after today's session, but we'd be very happy to discuss with you more. And so yeah, we have some time for some Q&A. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to, drop them in the Q&A function. And we'd be, very, very happy to discuss. Let's see. I do have one question here about certificates. For us, I guess if we get a little bit more context on it, please, it would be great to elaborate. But I will try and mention it if it's, certifications, one around the privacy and compliance and, this security certifications of the CDP. We do have a lot of the international recognized security certifications and, ISO and more. There's a number that you can check out, online in our security section, but, we take those very seriously. Certificate of attendance. Thank you for clarifying. We don't have a certification of attendance for today. But we still, sorry about that, but we very much hope that you learned a lot. And if there's additional information that we can provide to you on these use cases or more, please feel free to contact us, and we can also provide some items that you had mentioned that you attended this session today. Thank you very much for that point. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask. Happy to answer them live. See, one common question that we sometimes get is, okay, you talked a lot about CDP. I know your Treasure Data. There's many other CDPs out there. How do you differentiate yourself from some of the other CDPs? That's a great question. For us, we we are very much specialized on the high flexibility, high scalability, and solving the very unique and bespoke data challenges, of the enterprise. And so, with that in mind, some of the use cases that we were exploring today include, involving procurement and logistics, or it also involved things like sometimes, IoT data for the retail that was integrating some sensor data, weather data from temperature modeling and more. So for us, we're very much focused on trying to utilize the widest variety of data possible. And then also, once it's been integrated, providing the full flexibility to utilize that data to its full potential. That's not always the case in CDPs. Sometimes there's a limited amount of connectors that they work with, or maybe if it's a larger brand, maybe they're working within more of a walled garden of services. But and then once it's been integrated, sometimes it's not always as flexible. But us, we're almost similar to the full power of like a data lake or a data warehouse, but with the features and functionality to allow other business units and stakeholders to take action. So flexibility, scalability, that is really our key aspects that we focus on. Great. Well, I know we're at the hour, so if there's no further questions, we can start closing today's session. But if anyone has any questions later, I invite you to please reach out and contact us. And I do hope that you were able to have some key takeaways today, some key ideas of how we can start taking data, unifying it, and driving some better experiences and business value from it. So with that, a big thank you to everyone in the audience. Also a big thank you to, ADA for the invitation to join today, as well, as SoftBank for also being a partner. And yes, if you'd like to explore more, have a deeper conversation, a demo of the platform or something sometime, please, let us know, and we'd be happy to have a discussion with you. With that, we can close the session. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and thank you for joining today. Bye.